I know you look a very kind audience. Our next two chefs have never done this before, okay? So will you please put your hands together for Ben Tonks and Tim, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know both don't look old enough to drink, but they are. And no doubt Freddie will come in just to rescue everything halfway through it.
Hopefully. Hopefully he might.
Ben, it's great to see you. What are you going to be doing for us today?
So today we're going to do a dish that we cook in the restaurant every day, spaghetti con calamari. It's spaghetti with local squid. We use white wines, sage, squid and garlic. Very simple, but the important thing about this dish is we use a stock made from turbot, and we cook the pasta direct in the stock, so all the starchiness, all the gelatinous of the stock comes into it. You get a very fresh and minerally flavour. And we're also cooking Lobster Caldereta, which is a dish that I was very lucky enough to eat growing up in the Balearic Islands. It's based on very rich shellfish stock and lobster. Very simple. Both dishes definitely do at home. They're more or less one-pot wonders. Don't worry about the washing up and stuff like that. It's fine. And we're also going to talk about some tinned fish and do something with whatever Tom from Mavalco has on his shelf, because we get a lot of our tinned fish through them. So halfway through I'll go and take something and we'll make it up as we go along. So starting, Tim's going to do the spaghetti con calamari. In your pan is just olive oil, as hot as you can get it, loads of chopped garlic and sage. And once you've got the garlic dancing in the oil, you add your squid and add your wine, let that cook, add your stock, and then pasta, and you go. So Tim, you go with that, and I'll start on the caldereta over here.
So the whole dish is quite nice because you're just getting everything in the pot together and letting everything cook. A lot of time when you cook spaghetti, you cook the spaghetti separately and then you're kind of adding everything at the end. But you want the starchiness of the spaghetti and the gelatin from the fish stock to kind of all come together and make a nice, lovely textured sauce. And it's delicious.
It's very fresh and minerally. On a summer's day that we're not really experiencing today, you can enjoy a nice glass of white wine, which I'm sure Freddie will pour for anyone that wants one when they try it. So the caldereta, it's a very simple dish. The stock, you start with any shellfish frames that you have left and you roast them. Sweat a load of mirepoix down, so carrots, fennel, celery, leeks, whatever you want. As soon as you've gotten lots of colour, you add tomato paste, cook your tomato paste out and add the roasted shellfish stock bones. And for that you take like 6 hours. You really get the depth of shellfish. And when you're abroad, you're in Spain and you eat these kind of dishes, it's that flavour that you're like, how do you do that? How do you do that? There are very good companies that Tom sells, Mavalco, that when you are in the supermarkets in Spain, you can easily walk into the shelf and get them. We aren't fortunate enough to get that here, but at Mavalco you can definitely have that experience on their online website. So the caldereta, you just literally go garlic in a pan, some saffron. If you have dried oregano, you can. There's nothing wrong with not having it or having it. I don't know, a pinch or so of that. Lobsters, again, you're here today and Chris Puncher is selling them. It's something you can take home tomorrow and make. It's very simple. Through the head, split through the cross, it's the softest point of the shell. And your claws, you just literally crack. Heel of your knife, back end, don't ruin the blade, and just literally
Do you have a
break them up.
Ben, is there much meat in a claw that size? I mean,
yeah, you'll get a decent amount of meat. I think the thing with shellfish, as long as you don't overcook it, you're not going to ruin the kind of meat you get in there, right? Sometimes you do have to be careful. You get dud lobster or dud crab, and it comes, but it's just the way of life, right? Sorry. So I've done what Freddie did earlier, not really knowing how these hobs work. My pan wasn't on, your pan has to be hot when you
Tom's
put these
there.
ingredients in the got it, in the pan. So Tim has gone. He's got his oil hot. He's the squid. When you go to a fishmonger, ask them to clean the squid but keep the ink sac, because you can put the ink in for extra flavour and it creates that kind of more depth, richness flavour that you get from stuff like this. And the squid you can chop in rings, you can chop in chunks. We find in the restaurant, if you split the body and go completely lengthways, you get something that reacts to the same shape of the pasta. So when you're eating the dish, you're getting the similar shape, 2 different textures and 2 different flavours. It's a wonderful combination to have.
How on earth do you keep it non-rubberized? Because I've had your father's squid, fantastic, but he manages to keep it just soft.
So there's a thing with squid, cuttlefish, when you deep fry it, that initial quick cook is when you can get that kind of like nicely tender, or if you slow cook it. And this dish, when you're adding the squid straight from the start and the pasta, you're having that 15-20 minutes to allow the squid to cook down and become tender again rather than become chewy and not enjoyable. So this dish is like perfect for something like this. You're braising squid in its own ink essentially and just adding pasta and just having fun. Like I said, it's a one-pot wonder that works at home for the dishes when you really can't be bothered.
I've just got a great waft of garlic. It's fantastic.
So again, my garlic's starting to colour. My hob keeps failing.
If you shake it around and take it off, it gets across.
Right, so, okay. Don't move your pans. See, I agree with Freddie, induction. Just bring back gas. You're going to roast the shell, the head of your lobsters in this pan, and you're going to get, it's done it again, you're going to get that really nice, rich shellfish flavour, so this dish is really about that. It's very simple, it's lobster in a wonderful bisque. So as you're roasting your heads in the oil, your garlic's going, pan should definitely be hotter, but you know, brandy goes in, you cook your brandy out. Where'd you get that from, Freddie?
I didn't steal that.
Are you sure? Not halfway down the M5, like fuck.
I was given a bottle of champagne the other day as a present, but it still has a tag on as well. I don't know what's going on. That's what's going to
Yeah, well, maybe you're doing something wrong. All right, who knows?
Should we go with the pasta?
Yeah, go with the pasta. So Tim's going to go with the pasta.
So you just start by getting the pasta in the water, and all you need to do is just soften the pasta so you can start to move it around in the pan. While this is working, you can go in with your garlic and your sage and just start to get those flavours to come out. And you can smell it when it's good to go.
That could be a flat plate.
It hits you and it tells you it's ready. It starts dancing around in the pan, if it was hot enough. And this first part normally is quite fast. Your garlic and your sage goes in. Then in with your white wine and your squid all together. And then everything else goes in. And then all you've got to do is keep an eye on the pasta, make sure it's not overcooking. And the sauce starts to reduce and kind of all bind together.
Yeah, this dish is normally a quicker dish in the restaurant. You've got kind of more power that you can just get it out.
Got to ask, how are things going with the restaurant chain?
Yeah, they're really good. It's nice to be back after, you know, everything that happened. It was obviously a struggle for everyone, but it's been a really positive result of people wanting to come back and eat in restaurants and sit in dining rooms and enjoy essentially the simple things of life, right? Dinner, everyone has it, everyone does it. It's nothing important.
And you've got a new one opening, or was there a delay to one?
So the Seahorse is a part of the Rockfish group, but the Rockfish is like an ongoing, growing family seafood restaurant. The Seahorse has outside catering events, so we can come to people's homes and bring a trailer, bring the whole dining room and restaurant to your house, and we can just give you a restaurant experience in your garden. So go back to this quickly. As I'm roasting this, my garlic's starting to turn. You want to leave the last bit of brandy left in there. For me, I like the raw taste of brandy. Don't know why. And you can strain your stock, you don't have to. I'm just going to go straight in and let all of that reduce in the pan. And wipe my glasses. Because. Can I get some of these tomatoes? Again, in the restaurant we get them through Mevalco. They're San Manzano tomatoes. They're grown and jarred in the farm, so they're direct from the source where you will want tomatoes. How's the pasta going, Tim?
Yeah, pasta's good. Pasta's ready to go in, so I'm just going to pull it all out and start mixing it together, get everything in the pan.
Brilliant.
And that's all the hard work done.
Look at that. Ben, have you ever been on a truffle trip?
No.
No.
My mum's not here, is she? Yeah, funny enough, very luckily enough, I've been on lots of food trips, and some of them were the truffle trips where we had met Freddie and Jane. We did more than drive tractors, that's for sure. Ask Jane about Trevor's motorbike later, and we can, very good. We are blessed to go and eat some of the best food you get around, and it makes us want to come and give it to you guys, right? It's what we're lucky enough to be able to do.
So what goes on the truffle trip stays?
On the truffle trip. Yeah.
No
Tell some stories.
Yeah.
No tractors were soiled on the last trip. Okay.
The scariest times was actually finding these on my bedside table.
Whose are they?
Sorry? I rolled over and I was like, am I going to have to call my wife? No, it's okay.
So as you can see, Tim, in the pasta's got to some malleable state, and now you're just going to finish cooking that in the sauce. It's really important not to use tongs really here where you can, because you're going to break you're going to break the pasta up, and then you get little chunks of pasta and it becomes something else. The whole joy of spaghetti is having that long strain of pasta that is you suck up into your mouth and slurp, and it's lovely. This dish, again, if you think, oh, it needs more sauce, it needs more sauce, should be no sauce in the pan. It is like you reduce all that flavour into the pasta, and that becomes your sauce. So on the plate, you literally just have pasta, squid, sage, drizzled with some olive oil, and you're like, where's that flavour come from? It's all the minerality, the wine, the freshness of the herbs and the garlic. It's a very simple but wonderful dish. It's, yeah. So this, we're literally just going to reduce a little bit more. This stock, I would have liked to have cooked for 8 hours, but I kind of turned up and said, very unpreparedly, I didn't even think about crab or lobster. So we made a dish very quickly. So yeah, your stock should be very rich and intense. So I'm just going to reduce it more with the lobster and the brandy and the tomatoes to engage in that flavour that's going on. I think, is there a spare chopping board at all? Because while we're waiting for things to cook, it's quite boring. It's like watching paint dry. No one does it. We'll talk about some tinned fish. So at the Rockfish, we have started canning our own fish. We get local fish from England, and we send it over to Spain to be canned in the traditional way. When you go to these canning factories, they're done with care, they're done properly. It's not just one big manufacturing company. It's third generation. It's something that is, you know,
they know how to do it.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They wake up in the morning and they go to the factory and they hand fillet anchovies and they salt them and they cure them and they can them. And every time we go to Spain, we're like, fuck, sorry. Like, you know, that moment when you eat something, you're like, why don't we do this in England? So we've started to do that. We have a range of tinned fish in the Rockfish. We've got mussels and escabeche, we've got cuttlefish and ink, we've got tuna, we've got mackerel, sardines. Sardines are great, you can always, thank you.
Some shameless plugging.
Yeah. Sardines, you can just throw them in a blender, make a sardine pate, tomato, garlic, vinegar, spread it on toast. It's a nice little snack if you've got friends coming around, if you come back from the pub and you're a bit hungry and you've got one on the shelf. It's great. But one thing that I really like doing is we always think of tartars as like raw food and things that you're like, oh, it's got to be tuna, it's got to be steak, essentially, or mackerel or something. Tinned fish, you can do exactly the same. Just take it out of the oil and dice it and dress it in some wonderful vegetables, olive oil, vinegar, whatever you have, and it's just a wonderful thing to put on
This one is, yeah.
toast, whatever you want. So we're going to make a tartar now. Do I find bowls anywhere? Can't see. It's your finest mixing bowl. Just anything. So this is the mackerel I've just opened. I mean, I don't know, is there a camera? Can you see it? You can see how the fillets have been like carefully placed in the can. They're not just blitzed up mushed fillets of fish. It's good quality fish that has been put in a can to preserve for you to eat 2 years, 3 years, as long as you want. Yeah, some olive oil would be good. And we've brought some vinegar from the restaurant that we use. It's an agrodolce, so it's quite sweet and sour. It's a lovely flavour. But you can literally just chunk your fish. Don't be all chefy and fancy about it. Yeah, it's good. This is a mixing bowl, not a plating bowl, by the way. I'm not just going to throw it all in a bowl and go, there you go. Can I get one more mackerel, please, just to make it worthwhile?
Can I ask where you learned? Who taught you?
I learned in the pot wash section in Bristol. I started off as a fishmonger, and in the morning I would serve fish, and in the evening I would wash dishes, and just kind of fell in love with food and the kitchen and the atmosphere, and just stayed. And very luckily enough, being the left testicle of Dad, right?
I've heard him been called worse, but
yeah. Luckily enough to be brought up in food when I was like 4, just before Mum and Dad split up. He would say, I'm going down to Cornwall to buy fish off Rob Ring. Do you want to come? And I'd have English in the morning, and I'd say, yeah, fuck it, why not? 2 o'clock in the morning, drive down, pick some fish up, come back to school. And so it was just something that I really enjoyed and loved and have spent my life doing and naturally fell in love with, I guess.
Brilliant.
So.
Thank heavens for that. Got to say, I've never been a lover of fish until I met Mitch, and Mitch did me Gilthead bream and then a plaice, and this, I think it was a plaice. It came in the size of a lorry tyre, this thing, and it was just hanging over the plate, and I thought, am I going to enjoy this? It was fresh, the eye was clear, the food was fantastic, and I suddenly realised I grew up in the 60s and 70s with stale fish, badly cooked. So listen to these guys, they are absolutely brilliant, and they change the way I eat. As you can probably tell, I'm not exactly... I mean, under here is a body of a Greek god, which I have slightly knackered.
It's. I think that's the thing, especially if you're buying fish, right, is we are very scared of fish in this country, and understandably why, and I guess everything that's going on in the world with the problems. I think the one thing is when you eat fish, just go to somewhere you trust, and also don't be scared of it. Just listen to someone that's going to tell you the honest answer. Don't go to Sainsbury's, don't go to Marks and Spencer's, go to the guy on your corner that you speak to every Friday about where he's got his fish from. Catch of the day in Kingsbridge, there you go. It's it's having that kind of
Catch of the day, yeah.
Catch of the day, Emma and Darren. If you're in Kingsbridge and you're local, go get fish from people like that, because they're the people that wake up every day, care about it, they buy it responsibly, they source it properly, and they're not going to lie to you. And if you say, I saw this guy making some caldereta, can you get me some lobsters and some crab bones? They're going to do it for you, and you'll turn up when you want to pick the fish up, and they'll look after you. It's
Live lobsters, you can see, go see Chris at Salcombe, Bristol Shellfish, the mobile number's out. He's actually got a tank for them now, so he wants up today.
yeah. And do you know what? If you really want to get chefy at home and go nuts, buy a load of lobsters, freeze them down. Once they're frozen, unfortunately, you do have to freeze them live. Rest in peace to those guys. Take them out, take the meat out, make it. You know, you can make like stocks and oils out of the shells, and then you can use the meat from fresh, and you can use that stock to make a pasta or rice or something. So it's like being resourceful with the things you have. Yeah, we'll pop this in. So the lobster and the caldereta, the stocks come down. You've got that nice dark colour you can see, and you're just going to finish cooking that in there. And this is the simplicity of this dish. When you go to the Balearic Islands, Minorca, Mallorca, and you see caldereta, they traditionally use crawfish, which is a form of lobster. And yeah, it's just
Brilliant.
a wonderful thing to eat.
Have any of you had, is it soft shell crab and as a lobster in the main area of America that you can actually eat the shell as well? Is that right? Was it soft shell crab you can...
Soft shell lobsters.
Does that exist, or am I on the Salcombe Pilsner at the moment?
Yeah.
They
Can't
do.
say what I was about to say.
The lobster changes its shell. Okay, all right. I'll shut up then. Okay.
So yeah, the tartar is literally...
Was it? I didn't realise that. Apparently, a soft shell crab is one that has just shed its shell, and of course, if you
Beautiful.
can get it, you can
They're
eat it.
really, really nice.
Okay.
We were lucky enough to actually have some in the restaurant direct from Venice yesterday. Dad was in Venice seeing Al Gattinero, and he fished them in the morning, froze them in the restaurant, stuck them in his hand luggage, and then brought them back to the restaurant.
Oh, I bet he's popular.
Because that's what you do, right? So yeah, tartar, you can put whatever you want in this. I kind of was hoping it was sunnier today, and gone fresh vegetables, chervil, fennel fronds, fennel, just finely sliced. You've got some shallots, you've got the tin fish. You're just going to toss it together and dress it. And have we got any bread anywhere? Have we got anything that we can...
Bread? That spaghetti is looking wonderful.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's got the same movement as my waist. Look at
And he doesn't
Would
either. Yeah. Got a plate? So you can see the caldereta is just cooking away, and if you look at it and you're like, ooh, could do more stock, take some more stock. These things are about time and care, you know. There's no fuss. You can tell there's no fuss gone into it. It's just good ingredients and making dinner. Thank you.
And keeping the induction hob on.
Yeah. Tim, how are you getting on with the pasta?
Yeah, the pasta's almost there. It's kind of starting to come together and really look very umptuous, and the sauce is really sticking to the pan. It'd have been a bit nicer if we could go a bit faster with it. The pasta's just starting to get a little bit over, but I don't know if you can see from up there. The sauce is almost gone, and it's just all coating in the pasta, soaking into the noodles. Looks going to be delicious. So, I think we're almost there.
Yeah, you got a plate?
Have you got a platter? Oh, platter. There you go.
Huh? I've got 2 cats and they don't eat this. They prefer Felix. Don't know why. Freddie. Can you open that for me, please? Can you open that for me? Cheers, chef. How are you getting on, Tim?
I'm ready to go.
Go. Let
Yeah.
people come up and eat. Come on, man. The whole point of family food is eat when it's ready, serve it, eat together, and enjoy it.
So I don't know if you can see if it's a bit better up here. If I move the pasta away, there's no sauce running off the pasta anymore. And that's when you know it's
Yeah.
good to go. All we're going to do is stick it straight onto the plate. And finish it with a bit of salt and olive oil, and it's happy. And I'm not sure you can ever go with too much olive oil.
You can, because if there's too much olive oil in this dish, the pasta becomes greasy, and you're not looking for that kind of experience.
Presentation, everything. Look at that.
I mean, you would probably normally go a smaller portion, but I didn't want there to be like one mouthful. And tell me what it needs. Black pepper. Have you got any black pepper anyway?
Just there.
I'll do.
Just there, then.
Oh, that one. Got lemon. So the caldereta is nearly there. It's one of those dishes that
Yeah, I think.
it takes time. You order it in the restaurant, it will say like lobster by the weight, and it just turns up to your table whenever it's ready, and you're just like a beautiful clay pot, and room smells of shellfish, and it's amazing. Are you done on the pasta? If people come and eat pasta, I mean, finish it with some parsley, Tim. Give it some life, come on.
Yes, chef.
That bread, look at it. Ah,
Maybe between two plates as well.
so we got pasta, we got bread. You're talking my sort of diet here.
Nice. We can definitely make more of all these dishes up if you need everyone to taste it. But
Oh, look at that. Ben, where are you working at the moment? Where can we actually see you in action?
in the Seahorse, so Tim and I worked together in London at a restaurant called Sabor. Tim was trained at St John. We became friends, and he said, "I'm done with the city. I want to move to the sea." And he is now working at the Seahorse with us.
I've got to say, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, your father invited us down. When I say us, it was myself and my long-standing greatest friend, Simon Weston from the Falklands.
Ah, yes.
And Simon and I had a great lunch there. And Mitch turned around and said, "Look, I've got to go and do a barbecue. It's an open bar for you two. Just stay as long as you like." Biggest mistake of our lives. I managed to get him home and upstairs, threw him into a bedroom, closed the door, and he came down the next morning and went, "Lovely." And when a Welshman says
How's that
"lovely," you know he's had a good night.
Nice.
Yeah, I may have made it enough times.
All done, gentlemen?
Yeah, I just need a spoon to plate.
Spoons. Spoons.
They big enough?
No, to plate. Tom.
Spoons? Tom,
Tom,
have we
where
got
do I
some
find
spoons?
like a serving spoon, a ladle, or a...
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Any of that any good?
That was it, wasn't it? Lovely. I mean, come up and try. I'm going to plate this in a second.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together? Their very first demonstration. Tim and Ben.
Thank you.
Now that's going to be difficult to eat.
To dish out.
Look at that.
This could do it a little longer.
Needs.
Like Lady and the Tramp.
Thank you. God, it's like the opening scenes of Saving Private Ryan.
Probably best to
Who's at
do a
that?
bit of a twist or.
Very metal, though.
Well, I wonder where I get that from.